In continuation of the first edition of this documentary program, this edition will highlight the laudable achievements of Governor Bala Mohammed in BAUCHI State in the areas of health, education, and environmental protection. Education, which is critical to the survival and development of every modern society, came top on the government's priority list. This was because the education sector, which Governor Mohammed met in BAUCHI State when he assumed office, was in total mess. In fact, the sector was in complete shambles. This disgraceful decay starts right from the basic education level, where primary school pupils were forced to take lessons under trees or in decayed buildings. In primary schools where a few classroom blocks were available, pupils were packed into classrooms in their hundreds, a situation which made the kids look like refugees or even worse. Because of the acute scarcity of classroom furniture, children were also forced to sit on stones or even on the bare floor in many schools across the state. This was in spite of the efforts made by the immediate past 3 governors of the state. Indeed, the sad story of the education sector in BAUCHI State at the time Governor Bala Mohammed assumed office was also the same at the junior and senior secondary school levels. In fact, the level of infrastructural decay and general deterioration in most of the state's secondary schools was even worse. More than half of all classroom blocks in secondary schools were characterized by blown-off roofs, dilapidated structures, and widespread general decay. Where classrooms existed, they were in most cases overcrowded because they were inadequate. For both teachers and students given or taken lessons under those conditions were, to say the least, a terrible experience. For boarding schools, their situation was even more critical. Hostels were either extremely inadequate or totally rotten. Some hostel blocks didn't even have roofs, windows, and doors. Because there were no adequate beds, students were compelled in some cases to sleep on bare mattresses. Where beds were available, mattresses were nowhere to be seen. Students therefore either had to lie on bare bed springs or were forced to improvise. Situations where cardboards and corrugated iron sheets were used in place of mattresses were therefore common in students' hostels in the state's boarding secondary schools. Indeed, almost all hostels looked like refugee camps or camps for internally displaced persons.
Education, we were able to get what the federal government had been wanting to give the state, and it was not forthcoming. I got over 9 billion naira from UBEC, and then of course we were able to apply it on our primary education, where we built over 4,000 classrooms to reduce the spate of out-of-school children that has been prevalent in the state.
Today, however, with just a little over 3 years in office, the education sector has seen tremendous changes under the Bala Mohammed administration. Because his leadership style is anchored on dynamism and pragmatism, he has been making every effort to record quick results in this all-important social sector. At the basic education level, the administration has embarked on the construction of new classroom blocks in primary and junior secondary schools across the state. It has also been carrying out rehabilitation work on dilapidated structures in these schools. This is in addition to expanding existing schools by providing additional classroom blocks. For instance, this is a newly constructed special primary school in Duguri, Al-Kaleri local government area, and this is the newly constructed special primary school in Dambam local government area. At the secondary education level, the measures so far taken by Governor Bala Mohammed have been reassuring, because secondary education was the worst hit even in the generally decayed education sector. Governor Mohammed has declared a state of emergency at this level. Today, many of the secondary schools that were completely rotten, schools that literally had no future, have either been generally renovated or rehabilitated or are undergoing complete facelift. As a result of this unprecedented effort, many secondary schools are today looking brand new. Classroom furniture have also either been provided or are being supplied. Students now take lessons in comfortable and conducive environments. The provision of good healthcare services to the people is among Governor Bala Mohammed's agenda for Bauchi State. This is not surprising. At the time the administration assumed the mantle of leadership in May 2019, healthcare delivery in Bauchi State was badly in need of life itself.
So our projects and programs in all the areas of endeavor did not suffer. We were able to come up with a health summit because we declared emergency in health. We built over 1,000 clinics and primary health centers, with each ward having a functional primary health center. And that was our own vision, and we were able to accomplish it. And we were able to come up with projects that complemented what we have inherited. So the dynamism of governance is that we have taken a stock of what the previous administration had left, and we're able to continue with them, and we finished them a long time, the new one that we conceptualized based on good pricing and the rest. And we're able to get discount even on the old projects and programs. And both the contractors, the project managers, and everybody was happy. And I was able to come up with a project monitoring department that is doing it for me, because everything is about inspection. It's about monitoring and evaluation. It's oversight. You must be able to do it. That is why it is a key thing in parliamentary practice. Oversight is what will give you the capacity to implement projects and programs with little or no leakage or losses. And so we were able to achieve that in health.
Most of the state's healthcare institutions, namely maternities, primary healthcare centers, general hospitals, and even the specialist hospital in Bauchi, which is the flagship of the state's healthcare facilities, were in dire straits. Structures in the state's health institutions had either collapsed, decayed, or were in complete shambles. Many hospital structures had no roofs, doors, and windows. For patients on admission, the situation was extremely sad. Not only were the hospital wards dirty and clumsy, the beds and mattresses were old, inadequate, and very In addition, there were inadequate water and electricity supplies, few drugs, outdated equipment, as well as insufficient doctors and paramedical staff.
And so the human capital aspect, we're addressing it. We have employed over 1,000 nurses. Hitherto they were not there. 100 doctors. We're employing admin officers. And of course, in all aspects, we're trying to see that both the infrastructure and the human capital are being provided.
Distinguished Senator Bala Mohammed, COAN, when he took over as a executive governor of Bauchi State, he declared state of emergency in the health sectors. So the way that he tried to improve the health systems of the Bauchi State. He also bring the National Health Summit that was done in 2020 in this, where it was an avenue where health issues were discussed at that time. And he also approved employment of about 1,061 health workers and across in the state's health sectors. He also employed about 116 midwives that were posted to most of our primary health facilities. He renovated, upgraded, and constructed health facilities in the state, which is a very good and recommendable and laudable efforts that His Excellency has done to the state all across the local governments of the state.
Experts say the health sector handed over to Governor Bala Mohammed in May 2019 had some of the most frightening statistics. For instance, maternal mortality, infant mortality, and the under 5 mortality rates were all very high. Since taking over the reins of power, however, the present administration has registered remarkable achievements in this critical sector. Renovation works are currently going on in several healthcare facilities across the state under the supervision of the Bauchi State Monitoring and Evaluation Committee.
M&E people are made up of technocrats, seasoned engineers who can measure. Everything in project management is measurement and evaluation. So They are my eyes everywhere. They are the eyes of the people of Bauchi.
In my experience in the building industry over 35 years, I have not seen where direct effort to make delivery of projects in tandem with contracts or in tandem with the costs as being done by this administration. I commend his thought, because that is the way. If you save 1.5 billion that would have gone to the drain, it may not be physical cash because it has not been paid, but if it were approved, it would have been paid. That 1.5 billion will do much in where there is little. So I think that aspect, to see good projects delivered at the optimal cost, is one aspect of the governor's approach to governance that should be commended.
May 29, 2019, when Governor Bala Mohammed was sworn into office, Bauchi Metropolis had gained notoriety as one of the dirtiest state capitals in Nigeria. The city had literally been overtaken by garbage. In every district of the city, one will be confronted with massive heaps of uncollected garbage. Some heaps were several meters high. It was as if the various wards, quarters and suburbs of Bauchi Metropolis were in competition to see which of them would win the trophy for the dirtiest district in the state capital. Sadly, one of the Nigeria's most recognizable state capitals had descended into total environmental chaos and mess. BAUCHI, the government agency charged with the responsibility for cleaning the environment, is the Bauchi State Environmental Protection Agency, BAUCHI. This agency protects the natural environment and cleans up major towns and cities in the state in order to ensure good public health.
His Excellency, when he came on board, the first thing that he did, he declared state of emergency on the issue of waste management, and that's why he went out with all the government officials as of then, the private and the public sector, the traditional institutions all together, to clean the metropolis. We went for a clean-off where he was supported by the Emir of Bauchi and other emirs from the state. And he demonstrated clearly that, he means business in terms of cleaning the state. Nobody was so much surprised in that regard, because we all know what he did at the FCT in terms of ensuring cleanliness. So it was just like trying to see that Bauchi now is as clean as, Abuja. We have seen the result in that regard, because we remember that here in Basefa, last 2 years, I think towards the end of 2020 in November precisely, when we constructed our first public health laboratory, in the state and also in the Northeast. During the commissioning of that particular laboratory, there was an organization called Clean Up Nigeria. It's a Nigerian, NGO based in Canada. They came and they gave us awards. They gave it to His Excellency, saying that we are the cleanest state in the Northeast. So I think this is about the issue of waste management. We are able to, come up with a new framework that we call it Integrated Municipal Waste Management Framework, that gives us that impetus and opportunity to change the narration in that regard. Secondly, His Excellency procures so many, heavy duties for us, particularly the new wheel loader 65DD that we use today. It was a brand new, and in the history of Bauchi State, this is the first time that Basefa is receiving a brand new wheel loader that helps us to, to discharge our mandate of ensuring cleanliness in the state.
Today, after adopting a cocktail of remedial measures, the situation has improved greatly. BAUCHI has been empowered, and refuse and garbage are now being collected regularly, and the streets are being swept daily. Bauchi is quickly regaining its former status as a pristine and immaculate cosmopolitan city, thanks to the serious efforts of Governor Bala Mohammed, who launched a Keep Bauchi Clean campaign after assuming the mantle of leadership. On the day the campaign was launched, Bauchi residents turned out in their multitudes to clean the city along with their governor and other top political office holders. In order to restore the honor and dignity of traditional institutions across the state, Governor Bala Mohammed awarded contracts for the upgrading of palaces of district heads and other traditional title holders.
Because our own achievements are tangible. They are touchable. You can see it. You can count them. You can see Bauchi has changed, not only in the metropolis, but in all the local governments. Governance generally has changed. Even if you go to the traditional institution, that's the lower level, you will see their palaces have changed. We are building things for them, and we are making them to go back to the time when they had dignity and reticence, not the kind of thing that you see a district head in a being driven in a bicycle. And so we are trying to bring dignity.
For instance, this is the palace of the district head of Duguri in Al-Kaliri local government area of Bauchi state.
We are paying our salaries and obligations. And since I came, I made a vow that every 28th of this month I will pay. And during public times, that is Salah and Christmas, I will pay before the events. And I've been doing it. We are paying pension and salaries. What is remaining is gratuity, and we have come up with a policy trust, so the contributory pension, to make sure we leverage on PENCOM to pay all the backlog. But be it as it may, good governance is what is going to make or encourage people to seek for continuity. And already they are seeking for continuity. You can see even those in the other parties, they are coming in thousands. This is making me to be humbled, to know that power comes from God, and you cannot delude and deceive people. You have to have a level of fidelity and sincerity that people will judge you. And if they judge you, there's no going back. There's no any amount of threat that is so threatening to me. Yes, I have my threats and opportunities, but certainly you can see the way people of Bauchi State are giving me a lot of respect and high expectation, and they want what we call continuity and consolidation. It has become a movement. It's not just about Gawara myself, it's about the people. And so the Bauchi renewal has come to stay. And of course, young people, old people are all behind that. And that is what is encouraging. So the key word is continuity and consolidation. And I can see that the people have bought the idea, because our projects and programs have touched the lives of people across the strata of the society. And there is no any deception.
Thank you very much. On just extra notes, maybe what do you have to tell the people of Bauchi State come the next election? What do you want to tell them?
Well, I want them to give me the opportunity to come back so that I can continue with what I'm doing. I'm doing it on their behalf. What they have given me, I'm very grateful, because I was given the opportunity to unseat a sitting government, and I had no luxury of not delivery. You can see this is a new government house. This is a new place. And of course, if you go to our hospitals or our clinics, you'll see drugs. The governance is working. I want governance to work with little resources. You will go and see a permanent secretary in a brand new car. And that is the kind of governance I want to show. And you will see a district head with a good palace. Compact, not too elaborate. You will see an emir respected. You will see promotion being done. And you will see security being provided. When a citizen of Bauchi is touched, we are touched. I love Bauchi more than I love myself or my family. I'm ready to sacrifice my life for Bauchi. I'm offering myself, and then, of course, it's left to the people of Bauchi. Already they are showing me a lot of love. I appreciate, and I must say I will not take them for granted.
From what you have seen so far, it is a glaring fact that Governor Bala Mohammed has performed credibly well to the admiration of all. If given the mandate for another 4 years, there is no doubt the future of Bauchi State is certainly bright.
because whatever I was doing, I will be doing it on behalf of the people. So M&E is the key, because I did it in FCT, and I can see that I have the engineering department, FCDA doing things, but I have my M&E that is telling me what is going on. In case of FCT,